Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, where we'll bring you up to speed with the biggest happenings in politics and in the polity. And we have a lot of stories for you today, including a breaking news, but let's tell you what we're leading with the headlines. Court sentences former Minister of Power Saleh Mahmoud to 75 years imprisonment for stealing public funds totaling at about 33.8 billion naira, 10 years each on major counts to run concurrently. African leaders converge on Nairobi to seek a new deal on global economic and security world order at the Africa Future Summit, co-hosted by France and the Republic of Kenya. And the All Progressives Congress in Ogun State releases official timetable for its party primaries, asks participants to comply with guidelines. Thanks again for joining us on the program where we bring you up to speed with the latest happenings in politics and in the polity at midday. A breaking news just came in a few moments ago, and it's from the court where Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has sentenced the former Minister of Power, Saleh Mahmoud, to 75 years imprisonment in absentia. The judge sentenced the convict on 12 counts and ordered that the sentences will run concurrently. Whereas he was handed 7 years each on 10 counts of the charge, it jailed him 3 years and 2 years on count 4 and 5 of the charge, bringing the entire sentence to 75 years. Justice James Omotosho ordered that the sentence will start to run from the day the convict is arrested, and ordered that all security agencies, including all of them, should arrest the convict wherever he's seen. Justice James Omotosho further added that all monies recovered from him as well as the property will be forfeited to the federal government, and the convict is ordered to pay the difference left in the 22 billion naira meant for the Mambila and Zungeru Hydro electric power project. And away from that, President Bola Tinubu joined other African leaders for the opening ceremony of the African-France summit known as the Future Forward summit, taking place in Nairobi, Kenya. The president was welcomed to the venue by the President of Kenya, William Ruto, as well as others.
Embedded within global credit rating systems continue to penalize African economies, increase the cost of capital, and discourage long-term investment into productive sectors. This imbalance is neither sustainable nor just. It is one of the principal constraints on Africa's ability to finance infrastructure, industrialization, climate adaptation, and economic transformation at the scale that is required. Africa must increasingly finance Africa.
This agenda for peace and prosperity is something that I truly aspire to. And it's something that, with a lot of respect and humility, that I want to put at the service of this continent, the world's youngest continent. And even last year, we had the strongest rate of growth from around the world. So it's not only the continent of the future, it's already a power and a strength in the world today. And I am proud to be standing at your side and to try humbly to build with you this agenda in which we will be investing heavily. We want to work with you.
This is not a continent waiting for solutions. This is a continent producing them. But let us be honest about what stands in Africa's way. A global system designed without Africa and still largely operating without Africa, perpetuating century-old injustices. A continent of more than 1.5 billion people with no permanent seats on the UN Security Council, as was referred by President William Ruto.
Fair argument there by President William Ruto and Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, because it's quite important that Africa has a seat and the world order needs to be reordered in the sense so that Africa can have a seat on the table, especially when it comes to our credit rating and the parameters being used. Let's talk about local politics, where the All Progressives Congress in Ogun State has released the official timetable for its primary elections ahead of the 2027 general elections, urging aspirants and stakeholders to comply strictly with party guidelines. In a notice issued and signed by the State Organizing Secretary Yemi Adelani, the party outlined dates for all categories of elections. The House of Representatives is scheduled for Friday, 15th of May or May the 15th, followed by the senatorial primaries for May the 18th, 2026. For those of the House of Assembly to hold on Wednesday, May the 20th, while the governorship primary is fixed for Thursday, May the 21st. The process will conclude with a presidential primary on Saturday, May the 23rd. The party called on all aspirants, officials and members to adhere to the timetable and conduct themselves in accordance with the APC constitution and electoral guidelines. Yes, we're not done with party politics, but staying with the APC, this time in Rivers, where it has dismissed allegations that the House of Assembly aspirants loyal to the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, were favored during the party's screening exercise, while those believed to be loyal to the River State Governor, Similayo Fubara, were denied clearance. Chairman of the Appeal Committee, Abdul Mahmood, says the committee received a comprehensive report containing the names of all aspirants who were cleared and those who weren't, assuring that they would do justice to the appeals.
Appellants have written to the chairman of the party, who has forwarded their petitions to us to consider. The bulk of the complaints that we have had, not stated in their petitions, but in their oral presentations, that the non-clearance decisions were not communicated to them. All of them, pointed to the fact that they read their non-clearance on Facebook. Perhaps next time the party must learn from its experience. When you clear and don't clear people, the people have telephone numbers. They should be able to send them text messages or WhatsApp messages that you have not been cleared for this reason.
The FCT minister is not a member of the APC, and bringing him into what we are doing in our party here is not fair. Although he had said severally that he will support the president, but what we are doing now has nothing to do personally with the president. So bringing him in to say whether people who were cleared or uncleared belong to his own group or team, it does not fall in here properly. What we know is that we have 98 members of our party who sought to represent us at the 32 constituencies in Rivers State. They must subject themselves to the party guidelines, party constitution, the Electoral Act, and even the Nigerian Constitution. That they have done by appearing before the screening committee, and the screening committee have done the needful and have come out with their report, who their P panel is looking at. A P panel is there to take another look as to whether the decisions taken by the screening committee were properly done and were fair.
Well, this back and forth will not be over pretty soon. It's synonymous with politics. Interest is the name of the game. Let's bring in my guest. Toyin Sipoto is a legal practitioner joining us from Port Harcourt, the River State capital. He's a legal practitioner, I've said that before. And Mr. Ayala Rambi Ayala is a former minority leader of the Gombe State House of Assembly. I think also a lawyer. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Mr. Sipoto, let me start with you first, because the River story was all over the place when that screening happened. About between 94 to 98 persons were billed for that screening exercise. A total of 33 were cleared, the others weren't. And amongst those that were not cleared, prominent among them were prominent leaders, loyalists, I should say, to the current governor of the state, Similayo Fubara, including Sokari Good Boy, I think, Okojombo, as well as Chijoke Ihunwo. What really happened? Because the screening committee, as you've heard, as well as the state publicity secretary, has come out to say this thing, it followed due process. Mr. Sipoto, that's for you. Mr. Tony
Sorry,
Tupoto, that
come
question
again?
is for you. Did you hear my question?
No, I didn't.
Okay. What's your interpretation of what
Can
is
you hear
playing
me?
out with? Can you hear me first? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Fantastic. So I don't want to go back to what I said. Okay, let me make it simple. What is your interpretation of what's playing out with the screening exercise of the APC House of Assembly aspirant in River State?
Simply politics. That's what's playing out. It's all about the power game. So it's left for the gladiators to play by the rules. Simply put, that's what's playing out, politics.
So let me see what
Because
I can.
before
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
you can get to the ballot, the reality is that you have to secure your position in the party. So to secure a position, you have to go through screening and you have to go through the primaries. If the party decides to do primaries, whether indirect or direct primaries.
So if you're saying politics, they have listed. I'm trying to go to that document. I would. I hope I can be able to catch. Yes, I think I've seen the document. They listed reasons for persons that were not screened or they were not cleared, including inducement and attempted bribery of committee members, submission of unsworn affidavit, failure to present voter card, failure to present party membership slip, failure to confirm payment of membership dues, irregular party membership numbers of nominators, inconsistencies in names appearing on the submitted document, and on and on and on. It looks like there's clarity as to the premise of the reason why they were not cleared. You're not satisfied with this, and you think it's beyond those listed about, I think, about 1, 2, 5, about 9 reasons?
Well, it's not for me to be satisfied. It is for the candidates involved to be satisfied. What is primary for them to consider are whether these are infractions of their party's constitution. And if it is proven that these are infractions of their party constitution, then they stand disqualified. But if they can prove that there was no such infraction on their own part, then they are free to proceed to the courts to contest their disqualification or the fact that they have been screened out at this stage. And the earlier the better.
Let me bring in Ms. Ayala. Ms. Ayala, you're a member of the All Progressives Congress. I think I remember you're also a lawyer, so maybe you bring in your own intervention, but not uniquely to the Rivers incident, but generally what is playing out across the country. I read something the other day from Samson Itodo, Executive Director of Yaga Africa. This is, it sounds like, I'm going to check that for that statement. But he was trying to say, look, from what is playing out in primaries, especially say maybe within the APC, for instance, it looks like the power brokers, the cabals, the men that hold the lever of power within political parties are trying to hijack the entire process in the name of what you call consensus candidacy. And I don't know whether you're a victim or you're a victor in the whole process, but what's your interpretation?
Yeah, Mr. Jeffrey, thank you for having me. I think maybe let me bring you up to speed. Yes, when you said I used to be a member of the All Progressive Congress until lately I'm keen into your word. I became a victim of the consensus. And in my mind, of course, we are just trying to test run the new Electoral Act 2026, and see how the National Assembly has already made the law, and then it has been accented to by the president, and then this is a test case of it through the consensus. And then we have a situation where, in our own case, maybe it could replicate it around the country. We have a situation where we have been members of the political party, the APC, and all of a sudden, before the consensus, some people who have been not members of the political party just came in barely a week or so, And then they come into the party, and then they were considered to be fit and proper persons to run on the platform of the party. And for some of us, we felt, there was no consultation, no sufficient consultation, nothing of such. Just those who have the power to be able to do that just come out and reel out papers, call out names of people they consider to be, in the case of Gombe State here. And so for me, this is a test case of this consensus. The Electoral Act just gave two leeways: consensus or direct primaries. And it's left to be seen whether the direct primaries could work, especially given the nature of our political climate. And from this point, we're even beginning to see and celebrate the days of indirect primaries, where, in spite of the shortcomings, the activities of delegates and all that, at least there's a semblance of democracy being played out. So I am a victim of the consensus, and I've moved on. I did mention earlier on in our previous discussion that political party formation in Nigeria has never been ideologically based. It has always been interest driven. That explains why there is fluidity in terms of movement of political actors, especially during electionary years, from crossing from one political party to the other in search of where their interests would best be furthered, best be promoted. So that is the main issue. We've never tested this issue of consensus before. Neither have we ever tested this until when this is seen, and then maybe moving forward, the National Assembly perhaps will want to take a look, keen from our experience of this particular, the 2026 Electoral Act. So I am simply saying we're testing the new law, and it is coming with its own challenges. I have been a victim of the consensus, and I have moved on. And in fact, as a matter of fact, I am set to stand for screening in the All Democrat, the PDP, as an aspirant for the House of Representatives to represent Liri Balanga federal constituencies.
Is this a question of from? Sorry, my words now, Dr. Ayala. Is it a question of from fry pan to fire?
Yes.
Which of the PDPs are you going to? Is it the Wike PDP or
Right.
the Turaki PDP? Because everybody's holding on to something in the PDP.
Yeah, in Gombe State, there's actually a PDP under the leadership of His Excellency, Dr. Ibrahim Hassan Kombo, the former governor of Gombe State. In Gombe State, we don't have a divide. He is the leader of the party here in Gombe State, and the drive is to have a PDP on the ballot. And we have faith. We continue to develop faith in the PDP, and eventually we'll see how it operates.
Let me bring in Mr. Tony. Mr. Tony, I want us to look at what the law says and help me make sense. So because Mr. Ayala has raised an important point, which has to do with, that's why I asked him whether I was a victim or a victor. You see the fluidity of their movement. In fact, what is going on, there are so many things that will be tested based on Section 77 of the Electoral Act. For instance, the law says that INEC, you as a party, you must have your digital and physical register. That's in Section 2. In subsection 4, that digital and physical register must be with INEC 21 days from the days you fix for primaries. In subsection 5, it talks about the fact that, if I want to quote it exactly the way it is, so if you permit me for a moment, but in subsection 77 of the Electoral Act, it talks about the fact that if you don't submit that list, you will not be eligible. That party will not be able to field candidates. Subsection 5 says only members whose names are contained in the register shall be eligible to vote and be voted for in the party primaries, congresses, and convention. So I'm seeing people planning to leave their political parties when the time has elapsed. Do they have a chance in law?
I doubt they do. In law, like you correctly pointed out, in law, that might be a different thing in fact. But I see such people going into booby traps, legal booby traps, because that could be a ground for contesting their candidature in future if their names were not found in the party register at the cutoff date for when that register should have been submitted to INEC. that could be a ground to object to their candidature.
Let me stay with you still.
That's my opinion.
Let me stay with you still before I go to Mr. Ayala. Section 85 of the Electoral Act, I try to stay with the law because I don't quarrel with politicians over their interest, in fact, over their mischief. It is almost synonymous with politicians to be mischievous, with greatest respect. But we have to manage that mischief around the law. So I don't quarrel with whatever they want to do, they can do. Let's look at the law. So Section 85 says a political party shall not impose nomination, qualification, or disqualification criteria, measures, or condition on any aspirant or candidate for an election in its constitution, guidelines, or rule for nomination of candidates for elections except as prescribed under sections 65, 66, 106, 107, 131, 137, 177, and 187 of the Constitution. Literally saying, if you cannot disqualify somebody based on how the ground norm has listed as ground for disqualifying a governor or a senator or a president or member of the House of Assembly, every other measure you put in place is against the law. Is that what this section is talking about? Because I've heard, for instance, I think in APC also, that you need to get stakeholders' consensus, a certain percentage of stakeholders' consensus. If you can't get it, then you have a problem. What do you make of it?
Well, I think that these sections read together are a test of internal democracy in all the parties seeking to contest this election. It has always been the problem of our party that even where we claim to be a democratic dispensation, internal democracy is lacking in these parties, because even the preceding section, which you read, clearly prohibits a situation where consensus is reached by coercion or inducement or force. So the truth is that we still see a situation where even where parties claim that they have reached consensus, there will be a litany of litigation. And sad to say, we as lawyers will have a lot of work to do in that regard. And of course, the courts will not be coerced or cloaked into seeing a sham in the name of consensus. So there is a high possibility, if these sections are not followed to letter, that disgruntled contestants will resort to the courts for legal interpretation and may make nonsense of the whole process in some parties. The truth remains that our democracy, especially internal democracy of this party, is on test.
Let me come to Dr. Ayala. Let me come to you for a moment. Your case, as I just heard, you were in the PDP. I don't know the murky waters you may walk into or otherwise. Thank God you're also a lawyer. So to paraphrase for the audience what is going on with the PDP, Abdulrahman Mohammed is the chairman of the People's Democratic Party, national chairman, as captured by INEC, but that is still under contention by the other group led by Turaki. And what is their argument? That since Anyanwu was part of Ajibade's group that were suspended on the first, Anyanwu himself went to announce a new leadership in acting capacity. He did that announcement himself as a suspended member. And then that group culminated into setting up a caretaker committee after the expiration of Damagun as national leader of the party. And then that group ended up organizing a national convention that produced the current leadership. So the knock-on effects of their own version of that illegality in their sense, because the suspension was upheld at the appeal courts and the cross appeal was also dismissed. That means the court acknowledges that the suspension held. That's on one hand. And then there's the argument of the Badon case of other mandamus that was sought that recognized, quote and unquote, the Abdulrahman group, because they filed as, they applied to be joined in the suit, and when they were joined in that suit, there was no vehement denied at the end of the day. So it's a convolution of issues. I don't want to go. How do you guys want to manage this so that you don't win election and put it in the hands of someone else? I couldn't even conclude because of time.
Yeah, I would rather look at the political aspect of it than to dive into the legal issues that you've raised so far. Politically, I think as politicians, we will work around the issues. I mean, PDP is our interest, either whichever divide you alluded to. I am confident that before the general election, the election is still far in coming. We are looking at January next year and all that. So I think we have sufficient time to tidy up, do some house cleansing, and fix our issues together as far as PDP is concerned. One thing I know is that PDP is going to be on the ballot, and we'll be good to go.
All right, Dr. Ayala, I'm going to have you again on the program. I know you want to avoid it while like the issue of PDP is a convoluted issue. In fact, they should give me a small diploma in law with the PDP case. Dr. Rambi Ayala is a former minority leader of the Gombe State House of Assembly. Toye Supoto, legal practitioner. I need to get an honorary associate of being a lawyer because of the court cases and judgment I've had to read every other day. Gentlemen, thank you. I appreciate you both. It's an ongoing conversation. We'll still have you on the program subsequently. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Dr. Ayala, I wish you well as well. And that's it on the program. Thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Zama. Bye-bye.